Hello everyone, my name's Bobmich and welcome back to some more Star Citizen. So at work today I had a notification for a YouTube comment, as YouTube is wont to do when you guys leave a comment, and it was on the video for the 300i that I did the other night. Ebenezer Scrooge, no relation, commented and asked, instead of yet another video about yet another spaceship, how about a video to tell us if this game is finally playable? So, since I asked for comments and such about content, here we go. The problem with this question is that the answer is complicated and multifaceted. And no, I'm not saying that because I wanted to make a clickbaity title to draw you all in and waffle on for ages. I hate those kind of videos as well, so if anyone bumps into me at the Insomnia Festival or something in the future and I've sunk to that level, please feel free to give me a dry slap. First and foremost, to get it out of the way, I have to use the age-old line that currently the Star Citizen playable universe isn't really a game. It's an alpha of an in-development game engine, and if you choose to buy the internet spaceships for it or play on it in its current form, you choose to do so going in with the knowledge that at the moment this is not a fully developed game that contains heroes and villains and a climactic storyline with M. Night Shyamalan plot twists and plot holes that would put most Hollywood AAA films to shame. Yet. It's merely a playable tech demo which is still under ongoing development and contains all the bells and whistles that phrase endows, both on the good and bad sides of that coin. With that caveat out of the way, however, we can proceed into the meat of the question. The short TLDR answer is that currently, if you own a PC with a recent CPU, I'd argue Skylake or upwards, 16GB of RAM, a decent graphics card, again I would argue a 980 or upwards. I've not owned an AMD GPU in over a decade, so sorry Team Red. And you have the game installed on a fast drive, such as a decent SSD or even an NVMe drive, which would be my recommendation, then yes, the Star Citizen Alpha is playable at the moment. And before you jump into the comments wanting to ask why I own that you have such a good build, I'll give you my reasoning. The video running in the background here, which is raw unedited footage of me playing and completing the PI mission in the current 3.2.1 build of the Alpha, was recorded at 1080p on my Razer Blade Pro FHD laptop. This is running an i7 7700 HQ, 16 gigs of RAM, a GTX 1060 and the game's installed on a Samsung 970 EVO 500GB NVMe drive. Even with that pretty beefy spec, you can still see that I'm getting stutters and frame rate hanging. Part of this is down to the server on CIG side and how long this server's been active, as well as what players have done to degrade its performance. Fun activities like filling a large cargo ship such as a caterpillar with cargo, and then self-destructing it to spawn a million cargo boxes will really tank the server's performance, as I'm sure you can imagine. For a non-technical reference, it's like that really old Skyrim video of how many cheese wheels can we spawn in before the game breaks entirely, along those lines. It's also taking into account your PC specs. Everything in the current playable universe is written to your computer's RAM. I've seen lots of people complaining because they have 8GB RAM and get nowhere. Even CIG says 12 gigs is an absolute minimum and 16 is a safe bet, because that's what most RAM kits come with. I run with 16, but if it weren't so expensive right now, damn you cryptocurrency mining cretins, I'd have upgraded to 32 gigs long ago. £320 for 32 gig RAM, honestly. Your CPU can bottleneck you as well. You need more cores for multi-threading performance, that's a no-brainer, even for games these days that are more CPU intensive than they are GPU intensive, such as Arma 3. A good graphics card is a no-brainer as well. You want shiny space explosions, right? Go and get a good graphics card. A fast installation drive is mostly for loading times. Since the game is being dumped onto your RAM, it can take a while to load, as well as once you're in and playing, it takes a while to load assets in and out on the fly. That's why an SSD is pretty much needed and mandatory. I do know people who play it on high-speed mechanical drives, something like a 7200 RPM WD Black, but if you can shoot for an SSD, then do it. If you can take one step further and shoot for an NVMe drive in whatever form factor your PC can accommodate, I'd recommend you do that as well. And that's not just for Star Citizen. If you've got an NVMe drive, all of your games will fly on one of those things. The game will run, with stuttering and hanging depending on your server, at around a stable 30 FPS on my Blade Pro, which I should state that currently 30 FPS is CIG's current goal with what we have now. Not 120 FPS at 4K with G-Sync support and all those bells and whistles. They only want a stable 30 FPS. If you truly batshit insane PC build because you've got bottomless pockets to buy it, then yes, you can get a lot higher than that, obviously, even at 4K if you're lucky enough. But that's not me, and I'm fairly sure it's not a huge amount of you folks watching this either, so there we go. All of this, of course, is in the current alpha that we say today, that you're watching in the background right now. Yes, it's playable. Yes, it's a pain that it needs high PC specs at the moment, but all is not lost. At the end of September, with the 3.3 patch, we'll be getting 2 of the 3 major pieces of the puzzle for the good game performance in the engine: network bind culling and object container streaming. Server meshing is the third, but that's coming later. I won't go into the details of these right now for the sake of this video, but BoardGamer's done a great summary of these game engine pieces that you can go and watch. You can look him up if you don't know of him already, or you can go to his channel from the link that's on the right hand side of my main YouTube homepage. These will essentially enable the game to run more dependently and fluidly between the game's client on your PC and CIG server by moving assets in and out, thus removing the need to run everything on the client within your computer whilst having to try and shout at CIG servers at the same time. I know it's waiting a little longer, but barring any further problems, September is going to be a big month for Star Citizen, so if you haven't dipped your toe in yet, or you've been away for a while, keep a weather eye on progress for September. I'll echo Board's sentiments by finishing on the note that by the end of the year I think we'll have a wonderfully playable alpha that's a bit more accessible to those without a very recently built computer who are tanking at trying to play at 5 FPS. So, I hope that was helpful, Mr. Scrooge, and indeed everyone else who was watching. Thank you for sticking with me, and I'll see you next time.